Welcome to the Man That Can Project podcast. Today is going to be a very exciting one. I know a lot of gentlemen within our Strong Men of Value community have been so pumped for this one. I've been very excited since we had coffee back in, is it November or October?
Or before Christmas anyway,
yeah, little Christmas treat anyway. But we've got Tommy Honan from SWYFTX. Well, you're just a legend anyway, but you work for SWYFTX, and we'll talk about that shortly.
Who said that? Who gave you that information?
Just rumors.
Oh, fair enough, man. I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Take the positive stuff for sure.
It's always whenever people say good things about me, I'm like, can you find out who said that and get them to do it on a verbal message for me so I can keep it on down days?
Absolutely.
But Tommy, great to have you here. And as I was just saying, a lot of blokes that I've spoken to about 2 weeks ago, we had a good mate of mine, Miles, on the show talking about stockbroking. And for myself, I've been very excited for this conversation to get you on to talk about cryptocurrency. And before we dive in, guys, this is not financial advice. I've got to say all these disclaimers because, there's three Facebook, Instagram accounts going around pretending to be me. And I would not have three accounts, but they're pushing Bitcoin.
It's hard enough to have one account.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I've got the Man That Can account and my own, but I wouldn't have my own twice or three times or four, but that's not me. So the real account is the one that you follow. Or if you don't follow, you should be following.
I'm not famous enough to have three accounts yet, so I'm a little bit
I might make one up, yeah. Is it a good thing? Yeah, no. But they're obviously pushing people into Bitcoin. So I guess one of the first things, and we're going to talk about a whole heap of stuff today around not only Bitcoin, but cryptocurrencies, your journey into the space and just who you are as a bloke in general. But really what I want you guys to take away from this, and the reason why I'm grateful to have Tommy on here, is he's been involved in cryptocurrencies since 2013. So you're a bloody veteran, mate. You're nearly at your long service in 2 years. Oh no, 1 year, 2022.
That's it.
Wow.
Good way to apply for that. Do you think Satoshi?
Yeah, I was like,
he the man?
He might be the man.
Fair enough.
For those who don't know who that is, the creator of Bitcoin.
Creator of Bitcoin, guys. Yeah. Just to clarify.
It's like for you, it's like that's a given. Everyone knows that, but there's
true. Sorry, I'll dial it back a step.
This isn't a crypto podcast like the one that you guys run, but mate, welcome on the show. Great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. It's I've been keen. I've been following some of the work that you guys do for ages, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, I moved up from Melbourne to Brisbane, and I got a bit closer to you, and then we ended up catching up for a coffee before Christmas, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
We've had you on our Tapping Into Crypto podcast as well, which is really insightful to get your perspective on what you're doing.
Hear about how I got scammed as well.
That's it. Exactly.
Which is about but take us back to 2013. Like, I'd love the audience to get to know a bit more about you, because I obviously learned a heap of that coffee, but you stumbled into crypto in 2013. How did all that come about, and what was sort of life like in the lead up to that?
Yeah, man. I mean, my background is I was actually in the army after school for 5 years, Army Navy. So back in Ireland, obviously, but by now everyone can hear my accent. They're like, this guy is, what's going on here? But yeah, Irish originally. And I was in the Army Navy for 5 years, came out of that, played a lot of sports, Gaelic football back in Ireland, big passion of mine.
Similar to AFL.
Similar to AFL, yeah. Had a crack at that as well when I came out, which was fun. So, but yeah, I guess from there, ended up moving to Australia with just some mates back in 2011, and did my trade in the army as a chippy, a qualified carpenter, and then came to Australia and pretty much just got into that. Worked with a few companies down in Melbourne. I was in Melbourne for 9 years or so. And
did you enjoy Melbourne? Or?
Yeah, Melbourne was great. I mean, I had a blast down there. I was young and going through the motions. Yep. Melbourne's a really good town to be in when you're in your 20s and getting around it, and plenty of partying and restaurants and all that stuff that Melbourne has. No sunshine, gets really cold, kind of like Ireland. So,
yeah, I was like, feel at home there.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah. Bloody gets cold. I tell you, when working on a construction site, and I'm sure some of the lads listening here will be guys that are working in construction. And Brizzy is actually not too bad if people are based in Brizzy, but Melbourne gets icy. So I used to get ice on the deck in the mornings down there, mate.
Everyone, I grew up out west, and when I used to be a chippy as well, but there would be some freezing mornings and you just rugged up with beanie, 3 jumpers, tracksuit pants, and you're like, if I hit my finger, geez, it's going to hurt. Over. Yeah, it's less than ideal. But there's definitely a lot of chippies listening to this, and I think will be able to relate a lot to your story.
Yeah. The old bang the finger first thing in the morning would be an instant ticket to going home for the rest of the day.
Well, people want ice baths to wake himself up now. Just go hit your thumb with a hammer.
Oh,
No,
horrible experience. Yeah, but mate, I mean, yeah, in terms of crypto, back in 2013, I actually went home for Christmas to visit family from Australia. I was living in Australia at this stage. My cousin is a lifelong Dell Computers MD.
Yep.
So he's been with them for pretty much all his life. And yeah, he started talking about Bitcoin. I think it was back in 2012 is when I actually went back.
Wow.
And I at the time I didn't care. Like I'd been involved in equities, a little bit of equities. I always had an interest in investing, and I guess that's why he kind of came to me and said, "Mate, have a look at this and see, if something you might be interested in. This is what the rage is in Dell, what they're talking about. I guess at the water cooler." From there, I just kind of, I guess I started very slowly and started to research. Some people just pump money in straight away. I probably would have done the same, to be very honest with you, but it just was so hard to get cash into crypto at the time. Like there was a couple of different exchanges. You had to go through different types of V tunnels, and like it was dark web stuff. Like it really was dark web stuff. But yeah, I mean, I ended up putting like $100 or something like that into crypto back in 2013, 14, kind of that season. And that was where I got started. That was the, I guess it wasn't the light bulb moment, I was going to say. Like I was still, young guy, little bit of an investment happening, working in construction down in Melbourne. And it was not, by no means did I see myself, 7 or 8 years later, working at a company like SWYFTX. Like the transition there is a bit of a bigger story, but yeah, I mean, that's where it started for me. From there, I kind of, being honest, the markets had a little bit of a run up in 2013, 2014. We saw a sharp cool off again in the markets. I kind of lost interest in it for probably 12 months, probably more than 18 months, and got back in pretty heavy again in like late 2015 and 16. Got pretty heavy into it again.
What was the price of Bitcoin then?
Oh, man, it was hundreds of dollars was all it was at the time. So bro,
I still remember 2017. I was thinking about this when I was driving just into Newstead under the tunnel, because that's the exact moment I was on the phone to my mate, and Bitcoin around then was maybe $1,500, and I'd been buying Bitcoin, and so had my mum, and we've been putting it into USI Tech, which was the biggest fucking scam. And you can listen to my episode on your podcast where I got scammed with that. I
can remember that one knocking around at the time. Actually,
mate. Yeah. Anyway, it was too good to be true. And if you generally hear things that are too good to be true, they are. But my mate called me going under the bridge. Like, I've just bought a full Bitcoin. I was like, because I didn't have much money back then. So $1,500 was like,
a lot of money.
You're a ballsy, bro. And it spiked up. I think it went up to like $3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah, that would have been 15, 16, I'd say, something like that.
Yeah, I was in it earlier than I remember then.
Yeah.
And then I remember it dropped off again. So he sold it.
Yep.
And as I was driving under the bridge, because I knew this, we were going to have this conversation, I was just thinking, I was like, fuck. And Dono, if you're listening, I'm sure you pinched yourself, mate, and I'm pinching myself that I got scammed.
You got to hold on to it, Dono.
Yeah.
Hold on to that Bitcoin, mate.
Yeah, 100%. But let's sort of talk about that transition, because there's a lot of people out there, and whether you're a chippy or you have no investing experience, I think growth is one of the most important things to focus on, because there's many different things like gambling. We can talk about investing and trading with crypto. And I think it's something I would love to talk about a bit more, because a lot of people hear the buzz of, or, they might hear their mate say, oh, just did this and now it's worth this, and they're like, oh, quick, get me in on that. And they don't ever take the time to learn.
Yeah, that's, you talk about investing mistakes. I mean, I mean, that's a very common mistake, because there's a bit of hype around a certain project, a certain trend. I mean, with crypto, the volatility is so great that you can do well from these things, but it's, you're a very high percentage going the other way. It's like anything. If you've got conviction and you research something and you invest in it, if it doesn't work out, you're kind of like, well, I did my DD on it. I did my due diligence on it, and it didn't work out for me, but at least I wasn't just following blindly into something. And that's what you know, a lot of the projects in crypto, there's a lot of negative connotations around, you know, crypto, and, you know, I work in it every day. We run an exchange. You know, the majority of the cryptos that are listed are not going to last long term. You know, you invest in them, you ride the trend, you get out when you can. If you're in profit, you get out when you can. They are really good for trading, and that's where they become lucrative for people. You see, you know, 30-40% spikes in a day. You know, if you look at the stock market, you see, you know, 2 to 5, 10 would be like an insane day in a stock market. Whereas with crypto, everything just seems to be a bit more hyped. Like it's you've got a lot more volatility in it, and that's generally as you go down the list of cryptocurrencies, you know, hit your top 10s or top 20s, 50s. The farther you go down that list, the more volatility. Generally, the more volatility you see. So, yeah, I mean, it's always the number one go-to is always going to be research what you're about to put your money into. You know, and it's, I guess it's good. Like from our exchange perspective, like we do a lot of DD around listing assets, but at the same time, projects change. They get new leaders into projects. They get people leave. You know, it is like a business.
It's life,
It's life, exactly, yeah. So it is like a business, and people move around, and you know, there might be good intentions on every project. I'm sure has good intentions, but like at the end of the day, it really comes back to that due diligence piece. You know, are you reading the white paper? People harp on about the white papers and things quite a bit, but at the end of the day, bigger things I look for, like, what is the community like? You know, who are the look at LinkedIn, look at their team. Do they have people with experience in financial markets and in banking? And these are the kind of things that I'm looking for more so than like reading the white paper about what it is. Like, you do have to understand what it's trying to do when you're going to invest in it. But at the same time, there are like more important things in terms of like sourcing assets to invest in.
Definitely. Like, obviously you're seeing the XRP saga at the moment unfold, and there's a lot of distrust with that at the moment. But once again, whether it's in crypto, it happens in all industries. And I feel obviously I enjoy cryptocurrency, and that's sort of where I spend my time because it's of interest. But if it wasn't of interest, like other things that aren't interest, I wouldn't spend time there. So for those who are listening, don't feel, if you're not interested in it, that's fine.
Don't just
don't try and ride the trends. Like, you're better off literally keeping that money and investing in yourself. Buy yourself some books, or go to a course, or if you like property or stocks, do that stuff. But once again, in all of those things, do the due diligence and take responsibility there.
Yeah, you're not going to give it the proper crack if you're not actually like invested in it. People talk about emotional investment, but the right amount of emotional investment is a good thing. When it comes to trading, emotional investment is not the best thing, because, you know, you're really emotionally attached to that asset going up the chart and down the chart, and that's the dangerous part. But you need to have a bit of drive to actually for your investments to work as well. You need to have conviction. Like, I talk about conviction on our podcast quite a bit, and it really comes down to conviction. It only works when your baseline work is already done. Like, you've already done you've spent the time to research. You've got your price points set, and this is not like experienced trader stuff. You don't even have to know all of this stuff, but it really is. It comes down to how much time have you put into that investment, and if you're not interested in it, it's more than likely not going to work out for you. So, you know, like you said, if people are listening and they're not interested in crypto, or they're not sure about it, do a bit more research, or just don't just leave it. You know, there's plenty of other things you can invest your money in, like you said.
Yeah. And let's sort of backtrack a bit. So we've mentioned SWYFTX a few times. How did you come to it? So SWYFTX is a cryptocurrency exchange, which means you can buy, sell, trade, stake cryptocurrencies on there. And as you were saying, not all of them, because you guys try to not just put, there's some places that just put any listing on there, and that could be some dodgy stuff. And as you said, though, it's not, things change. So still stay relevant with them. But how did you end up at SWYFTX?
Yeah, mate, it's a very interesting story. I found SWYFTX in just after they launched. So SWYFTX launched just at the start of 2018. I was using another Australian platform at the time that were pretty expensive to use. There was quite a few barriers to entry in terms of the services they provided, and customer service was a big thing for me. The crypto industry wasn't at the time known for having any, pretty much any. So yeah, I actually stumbled upon SWYFTX kind of by chance, looking for kind of a better option. And yeah, I signed up, did a few trades. UI looked good. Had a few live chat problems.
Yep.
I kind of quickly found out that the guy I was talking to was the founder. Was one of the founders.
Talking to the founder, yeah.
Yeah, so that was Alex Harper, and I'd been chatting to him, and it probably went on for a couple of weeks where I was over and back, and listen, they started this platform, and a lot of things were cool. Like I really liked it.
Yep.
Customer service, they had live chat customer support.
Yep.
So I was like, this is cool. This went on, like I said, for a few weeks. I made some recommendations. I don't know, would you say lightly? I actually went back yesterday and looked at some of the previous conversations. I was
awesome.
it was I'm pretty sure Alex was thinking this guy is a bit of a dickhead, but
let's get rid of him.
Yeah, let's get him off the platform. But anyway, yeah, long story short, ended up doing a call with Alex probably about a month later, and he asked me for help, and I offered it. I was like, mate, you got a really cool platform here. I'm happy to do a couple of hours in the evenings on, customer support, or putting together some like process around how we deal with certain issues.
Yep.
Alex and Angus do have a background in like arbitrage, crypto trading, and Alex and they both kind of started businesses previously as well, and had a little bit of experience, but only two young guys. They're only 27 years of age now.
Wow.
So
it's epic.
Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome, right? It's an awesome story, and it doesn't happen every day, right? It's quite rare. So yeah, but anyway, I ended up I was still working at the Chippy at the time, right? I was a project manager for a construction company in Melbourne.
Can I just highlight this, talk about this a bit more? So you were already working as a project manager, probably a job that had a lot of responsibility, and you're still prepared to take time out of the rest of your life to pursue this. Yeah,
the way I looked at it at the time, I don't know about my partner if it was the same if it was the same thoughts on it, but yeah, I guess I was probably working 60 hours a week at the time, but I loved crypto. That was the thing. I was passionate about it. I found this problem that I thought I could help solve, I guess. When I found SWYFTX and got talking to Alex, and we did that initial call, and I was like, Matt, seemed like a really good bloke. Like, never met him or anything like that. I was just like, here, listen, I'm happy to volunteer a bit of time and give you guys a hand. And that went on for, I ended up helping him out with a few different processes. And yeah, probably 6 months later, he kind of started, like, SWYFTX only had 500 customers at the time. Remember that? So we got 600,000 customers nearly now.
Hold on. So 2018, 500 customers.
Yeah.
Obviously at 1.0,
half of those were Alex and Angus's family and friends.
And then now at 600,000.
Yeah, it's been
Are you guys international?
We're in Australia and New Zealand at the moment.
Awesome.
And we do have expansion plans to Europe at some stage in 22.
Wow. It's crazy because I feel like everyone trades crypto. It's like that's
everyone trades crypto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like the addressable market in Australia just keeps continuing to grow.
Yep.
Like, that's why you see overseas players coming in here every day. There's like Crypto.com sponsoring the AFL this week, and FTX and these companies, like global big brands, are like, there's a reason they're going for the Aussie market. The Aussie population is not that large, but the addressable market in Australia is getting bigger all the time. Aussies love their crypto.
Is there any reasons why that you're aware of?
Just some of the obvious ones, I guess, is Australians are generally have money. They have the cash flow positive. There's always, not always, but there's predominantly a surplus of, like, there's a lot of opportunity in Australia, right? So you've got surplus cash. Just a number of things, I guess, like that. The inflation and all that stuff. We'll get into that probably a little bit more in a bit, but yeah, that was my story. I found SWYFTX that way. I was very loyal to the company I was with in Melbourne. I was with them for nearly 8 years, and they'd looked after me. We did visas, and like, I was Irish, so we went through the whole visa process. And Steph and Frankel, like, they did everything for me. So I had a big tie to them, very loyal. But at the same time, when your heart is calling something you have passion of, like, I was like, all right, I need to do this right. And it was a bit of a runway. It probably took me about a year before I went on full time with SWYFTX. And he said, Alex, I think, reached out after, it's probably four months, something like that. He's like, we're getting busy. We need you on, we need to get you on like full time and up to Brizzy if you're willing to move up. So yeah, but it took about a year or maybe a bit more than that by the time I made the full transition. But yeah, I essentially went from you know, on the hammer in construction, building high-rise apartments, to yeah, on the executive team at SWYFTX now, you know, a few years later. So yeah,
that's
been awesome.
Fucking epic. I love because I just remember when I was a chippy, I hated it. I really didn't enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the physical part, but I just didn't enjoy the environment, and it wasn't fulfilling. Sure. So I always love hearing stories of like what you just shared, where even in the beginning, it wasn't just like a chop and drop to go straight into crypto or working at SWYFTX. You invested time that you weren't getting paid for because you genuinely enjoyed it. And now it's obviously got you to where you are now. Yeah, man. I mean, I was, it was never a question for me, but at the same time, when I met like Alex initially, like at that point, I never thought it was going to turn into like what it did. Like nobody could have foreseen what was going to happen next. But at the same time, I thought I'll give these guys a bit of a hand, and I might get they might give me a discount on my trading fees. And like, but honestly, that's where it was at the time. And the guys are just so cool. And I really bought into the idea of what they were trying to do. Like they're trying to do something different, trying to just give a better service to everybody and solve kind of some of the problems that existed in the crypto space at the time. Plus you guys have an incredible community, like on Telegram and stuff. Yep. And I think that's one of the cool things about the crypto space. And I say this to Liam all the time. I say this to a lot of people. I was in network marketing 2014, and what I really was drawn to about that was the community, and just everyone was optimistic and supporting each other to be better. Yep. And I'd never really seen an environment like that. And then I started obviously getting to cryptos and NFTs and all this sort of stuff. And it's the exact same thing. Like, yes, there's always going to be some people that maybe don't gel with or don't, vibe with, but a lot of people are there because it's something that they can get behind. Like they truly believe in, once again, there's things where people are just throwing a Hail Mary and trying to get a quick growth, but there's projects out there that are really awesome, like doing incredible things in the world. And then you get to be a part of their community and talk, end up making mates with people who have very similar values and interests to you. And it's fucking unreal. Like, yeah, it's crazy. I guess to talk to that kind of point, I'm pretty big on Bitcoin, like in the whole network, like it's the number one. Obviously it's kind of a bit of a, it's an entry point crypto anyway, but Bitcoin's got a layer 2 network called Lightning Network, right? And I've just started following anyway, Jack Mallers. Is it the guy? Yeah, from Strike. Yeah. Not to blow people's minds on this one, but it's essentially, Bitcoin is known for being expensive and slow to transact. So that's what everyone's like, oh no, Bitcoin is useless because it doesn't do this. But there's now essentially another layer of code, another program that'll sit on top of the Bitcoin network that allows you to transfer like essentially one Satoshi, which is the very lowest amount. Think of it as a penny or a cent of Bitcoin across a network for free instantly. And one of the little experiments that I did recently through Twitter, right? Like just these guys on Twitter that are like, send me your Lightning wallet. It was this guy in like Ethiopia. Yeah. Send him like $1 worth of Bitcoin. And then he sent it to this guy in Canada. That guy sent it to this guy in Alaska. It went back to New York and then back to me. And it was like, it all happened within, I don't know, less than 5 minutes or something like that. Like just, wow. And it's just like, just to, I guess, highlight the power of the network. And that's, we talk about community. Bitcoin's biggest trump card is it's not owned by anybody except for me and you, because we have some Bitcoin. Decentralized. It's decentralized. Yeah, exactly. And can you sort of touch on decentralization and stuff just quickly as well, so people can really understand that? Because even for me, I'm lucky I got Liam as Liam's been on the podcast, but he listens all day, every day. He's a guru for me. So he educates me. Yeah. Oh, it's great to have that knowledge base as well. Like one of your good mates, and it's great. It's that's the best way to start in anything. If you've got somebody that's obsessed by it that you can actually go and have a beer with or something like that and be like, mate, tell me what's going on with this stock market or this crypto. Like that's the best way if people are listening and they know people that are really invested in anything and you want to learn more about it. That's the number one best way, not listen to even podcasts or YouTube videos. But yeah, I mean, decentralization, the easiest way to break it down is your bank. Think about the banks.
banks are centralized. They control every dollar, every ledger that goes through the books essentially.
Yep.
Whereas decentralization is just controlled by you. You're the individual. The Bitcoin network's main trump card, like I said, is decentralization. The fact that it's not owned by any one entity. So it's not owned by like a bank, or it's not owned by it's owned by everybody that runs a node on the Bitcoin network.
Yep.
And there's millions of nodes throughout the planet.
Yep.
Right. So that's the big, that I guess that's how nobody owns it. It all plays back into this whole trust. You know, you don't have to trust anybody. They're going to allow you to send something. If you want to send it, you are in full control. Nobody can stop it. It runs on this decentralized network. That's kind of probably the easiest way. I don't know if I broke down.
Yeah,
really
no,
well,
that's
but like the bank can stop your transactions anytime they want.
Yeah.
It's centralized. They control everything and everyone around.
It's like 3 days to wait sometimes, and you're like, fuck, I just want my money.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the like the really big things that excites me about Bitcoin and that Lightning network that I'm really keen on at the moment is you know, not so much in Australia because we have NPP network and like it's instant everything almost in Australia, but in other countries like Africa, like it's physically dangerous for you to go to a Western Union to have to, you know, remit like dollars and things like that. So that's a big piece. And I guess people in Australia and like in the first world countries, you don't understand it as much, that it's not an investment for a large percentage of the world. Bitcoin is not an investment. It's a tool for surviving.
Yeah.
You know? And that's might sound a bit extreme, but it is, right? Like you go to a Western Union with cash, if you're in Ethiopia or Africa or like one of these types of countries, you could get killed on the way, and it happens every day. So I mean, that's just, you know, the flip side of that is if they've got an app on their phone with Lightning on it, bang, straight to Canada, straight to America, if they've got family in one of the, you know, safer countries, or, you know, and that's just, I don't want to go too far into it, but that's just like a real life use case where crypto is solving a real world problem. It's literally saving lives. And, you know, people harp on about the energy usage and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, it's definitely a consideration, but, you know, it's always generally blown massively out of proportion by the media. And I'm sure Liam would have some pretty strong views on that one as well. But the
good old media. But we'll come back right around. But while we're sort of talking about some of the benefits of it, can we sort of touch on some of the things to be aware of for people, whether if they're, you know, even for myself, like I wouldn't say I'm an expert, I've got money in it, but then for someone who's just curious about it, what are some things to be aware of, like risks or scams, or because there's a lot of fucking scams.
There's heaps of scams. I mean, we talked about your 3 Instagram profiles at the start. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think you touched on it earlier. It's like, if something seems too good to be true, it just is.
Yep.
It's not that it nearly is, it just is.
Yep.
And if you take that approach into it, you know, and just ask if there's something that you are interested in investing in, even if it seems like a no-brainer and you've already think you've done enough on it, ask somebody that's in the industry, you know, ask someone, ask me, ask you, ask Liam, like ask someone that's in it, you know, just specific to crypto, but even any kind of investing, it's really about that. There's scams everywhere. You watch videos on YouTube, bloody ads pop up with wallet addresses to ask you to send crypto. We'll send you 1 Bitcoin. Or send me 1 Bitcoin. We'll send you back 5.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but people fall for it every day. And Elon Musk, he's a great man, but guess what? He's not sending you Twitter messages to asking you about your crypto.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's just not. And these are the type of tactics that I guess unsuspecting people just, they just bite into it. And they kind of, I guess, a lot of the approach from somebody was like, oh, it's only $100. It's only $1,000. We hear it on SWYFTX through the support all the time, you know. I had to go at this, but I thought it was a scam, but I did it anyway, kind of thing. It's like, it's just, you know, and then it kind of, you know, we help people, right? We love to help people, but we still kind of, there's only so much you can do, you know, and it's out of our control. And people do try and go around the rules as much as they can at times as well. When that happens, like I hate it. It actually really pisses me off. Like it hurts when people get scammed out of, you know, 10 grand in these things. And there's been a lot more. I mean, it happens every single day, but thankfully, like the processes we have on SWYFTX are pretty solid. We do lock it down. Some people get annoyed because we lock things down a bit too
Yeah.
heavy at times, but it really is like, it's for people's protection. You know,
Yeah.
it's not because we want to hold on to people's money any longer, like with the crypto, like it's just not how it is. But people obviously have their opinions on it.
Yeah. And obviously when people are trying to buy or sell or whatever, you're emotionally charged, and many people don't know how to manage their emotions. So
Yeah.
they blow up. And I know my wife's account got paused for like 24 hours. I think I was actually messaging you about it a couple of years ago, and she was blowing up, and like, I don't know why it's blown up, and it turned out being for a good reason, which was awesome. But at the moment, in that moment, so we're all like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's right.
But you saved us being fucked over. But I've also had a client who got scammed, and this is probably one to be aware of. Make sure before you put any money anywhere, check out the actual URL in the company, because I had a client who put $100,000 in, so he ended up with 18 Bitcoin. And so he can still actually log in and see the Bitcoin, but the company in Dubai or wherever it is has full control. And then they got him again with another one.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, it's an expensive lesson,
Yep.
good lesson. Always do due diligence for anyone out there. And, same with NFTs now, which are probably, we can touch on that later, but in my Instagram, or if you jump on their Discords, like there's so many scams every day. I reckon I wake up in my other inbox with like 4 or 5 of them going, be a part of this one or be a part of that one.
Just that's right.
Buy here and buy that. And say,
and even putting your details, your email addresses and things into these lists, like you're asking to be phished, That's a very basic one that I think people forget is, everybody says I'm good with security, but predominantly people are very bad with security. One thing I always recommend is setting up an email that has a 2FA on it, like your two-factor authentication, where you can do your little scan. You put in your little one-time password every time you get in. It's a little bit annoying, but it will save you. You know, people use MetaMask and these things to trade on decentralized exchanges, and usually for the real obscure coins that we won't have listed yet, or something like that. And it's about checking the URLs. We had a case. I won't go too deep into it, but we had a case where like the URL was supposed to be SWYFTX, right? Our URL, swiftx.com, and the URL was like cruise with Sundays /John. and people clicked on it, put in their details, logged in, and got like they actually caught it, so they didn't end up getting scammed out of money.
Perfect.
But like these kind of things, like just take a second, you know? And it's a small thing, but it's just like it's what's going to save you realistically. So
so I think definitely be mindful of all of that sort of stuff. What sort of has you most excited about cryptocurrency at the moment?
Probably what I touched on with Bitcoin Lightning and the whole, like that whole network is just like, it's only, I'm giving you some good use cases early, but like this is only starting. Like it's only starting to come to fruition in 2022. That's going to explode. There's apps coming out now that have it baked in, so you won't even know you're sending. It'll be like a replacement for like a money transmitter, like a TransferWise or a Western Union, one of these ones, but it'll just cost zero, right? Like, and it's good because I got like family and friends and stuff, and we do a bit of over and back on the Lightning Network already, and it works really well. It's really cool, man. Like, I mean, it cost me, even to do a bank transfer would cost me $50, like, if I want to send it across or more. So like just using little things like that. NFTs are obviously going off at the moment. Like it's a lot of hype. I do think it will find a kind of a plateau. Obviously the market's pulled back a bit recently. If people are listening now, we're in the 21st of Jan, and the market has pulled back over the last few months. It was definitely warranted. We were due a bit of a cool down.
100%.
Like we had an insane 12-18 months pretty much since the COVID crash, right? So just pulling it back. Decentralized finance is huge. Like you go to the bank, talk about decentralized finance. People don't know what it is. You go to the bank and you've got your house deposit. You want to buy a new house. You've got your 100K sitting in the bank at 0.01% interest. Decentralized finance brings tools on the crypto network essentially to life, where you can earn yield and percentage on these things, right? And that's one that me and you had a good chat about the last time, and something that SWYFTX is looking at very closely as well, and something that we'll have in future. But basically, people are like we're in a low interest rate environment, a high inflationary environment. It just, everything plays into the narrative that people are going to be looking elsewhere to get more value out of their money. And it's even just about protecting the value that you have versus trying to actually invest and make money, right?
Yep.
So, some of these decentralized finance platforms, you can get 20%, 10-20% on your dollar, right? Just by sitting it there. And it's a crypto, but it's a stable coin crypto. So it's not exposed to the volatility like Bitcoin, where, I put in 100K, it's worth 50 tomorrow and 150. It actually doesn't do that. So that's one of the big, I guess that really excites me in terms of, I'm actually a bit risk averse, to be honest. Like it's just
we
kind
spoke about this.
I'm actually quite risk averse. So I do like fixed income type investments, just personally. Like I like my Bitcoin and my Ethereum, my top ones, but I'm kind of a bit safe, I guess, compared to some people. So I'd like anything that has type of passive income type traits, where you can earn a little bit back for holding certain cryptos. Like we talked about staking, which is something that some platforms have now. I love
staking. I think it's amazing. It's so good that you guys have it now as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I've been pushing that since that. I reckon since one of those first chats I had with Alex back in 2018. I was like, we need to get staking happening, mate. Like this, like if SWYFTX can get staking, it's going to be awesome. And we got it out, 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh yeah, I find it so, like, there's just so many things to. Obviously, it's such a fast evolving industry, so there's so much to keep up on. That's why I'm grateful for Liam, because he's like, have you done this? And then he'll refer me to research. But like staking and all of these sorts of things are just incredible, because it's exactly right. In the bank, my money's doing fuck all. Literally, I've got coins staking and seeing the growth. And once again, this is not financial advice. I'm not going to say any names of stuff, but like just seeing my money actually doing something is fucking awesome. Because for me, the reason why I invest is I want my money to be growing with me. It's like having another employee, right? You're getting time back. That's what excites me. And it's such an exciting time in history. Like I'm fucking well into it, obviously, but
it's about, like, we talk about, like, we're not going to give out financial advice, right? But at the end of the day, why are we doing it? What are we doing it for? It's about diversification. Crypto is another asset class now you can diversify into. If it's something that interests you and you're willing to do the time, talk to the right people, etc., use the right platforms, whatever it is. And you're talking about getting your time back, and that's what it is. And it's about like, the thing that excites me is this type of protocol that crypto now brings to us in decentralized finance, that allows you to earn your 10% or your 20% again back in your dollar. I mean, that's not something that you could get for the last 15 years in a bank or anything like that. So, but it's also about, like, you're not going to just put all your eggs in that basket. There are risks involved, and that's something that people, if they are interested, you do have to dive into what the risks are and what's your trade-off. It is not, it's not a bank at the end of the day. So we've got government backed guarantees with banks and things like that. Crypto is not. It's decentralized in nature, and it does have inherent risks that you need to be aware of. But I mean, it's the decentralization for me actually gives me more comfort, because I'm in control of it. I know where I can put it. I know now what I can earn on it, and it really is just about protecting the wealth. We looked at the inflation rates in the US and in Australia. Like,
isn't it, what's it,
6-7%?
Yeah,
but like, we're looking like we're going to be pushing for 10% next year, right? So for people that don't, it is, for people that don't understand, I guess, what, like, about inflation, or they don't really care, or, most people don't really care. They don't really know.
You should fucking care.
They should care. They should care. The easiest way to explain that is your coffee's got $1 more expensive this year, or your loaf of bread has got $1.50 more expensive this year. And it's like, that's the small little grinding stuff that you don't take massive notice of, but it just chips away at you. And then if you don't have a strategy of protecting that wealth, that 100K will have the buying power of 5 or 10 grand in 10 years. So that's the kind of thing. And I'm not doing it to scare people, but it's just like, just stay woke.
Well, I think it's actually important to, I hope it puts a bit of fear in people to actually fucking take ownership for your finances, because one of the biggest killers in men is financial challenges. And I'm sure it would be the same for women. And there's so many people who have financial stress. We expect that the government's going to look after us, banks, like, all this stuff's going to look after us. And yes, pros and cons for depending on your risk. But for me, I want to be in control of my life, and I want to be in control of my finances and the opportunities that I can create as a result of that, which means, I'm not just saying go put money in things, but fucking learn. Like I've spent over, 6 figures on my own development. This is before even putting money in cryptocurrencies and other things. And I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on courses and things that I wish I could have back, but that was just a powerful lesson and a learning. And it's taught me to do due diligence. It's taught me to identify what I actually need to invest in, like understanding my emotions. So I don't buy on people see Bitcoin going, they're like, quick buy. And then it drops and like, fuck, just done my money, or however it works. So I think there's so many things that need to be taken into consideration when going into crypto. But going back to our point, inflation's a thing. Like it's happening. And
absolutely,
the podcast I was on earlier this morning, they were saying the average wage in America now for a full-time person is like $25K a year US. How do you live off that? Like people do, obviously, but
and you're supposed to get to $1 million save by the time you retire.
Yeah,
that doesn't fly.
So like, and it doesn't matter. Obviously the earlier you start working on your financial intelligence and investing, because if you jump on Google and Google compound calculator and even just put it at 12%, like I've got a good book called the 16% solution, which is by Warren Buffett, and that always aim for, but that's not even average in the stock market, right? But even if you put 12% and put say 10 grand in there as your initial investment and just watch what that does over a 15-year period, it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's powerful. Yeah, it's powerful to see it.
Yeah.
And I guess even just taking it a step further than that, because we talk about, I guess I'm confident in my strategies.
Yep.
Like personally, I've put a lot of time into them. I've upskilled myself across areas that I never thought I'd even be, looking at. And I love it. I just love personal development and getting into it. And I love being challenged. Like I love being like, shit, I'm bad at that. And then trying to see where I can improve. And that goes across a lot of areas of my life and business. And, been at a high performing business now like SWYFTX, you have to be on the ball.
Oh man, it would be so fascinating.
You would get left behind. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
We should be continuously challenging each other. But like I said, for taking it back a step, some people don't have any savings. So just say you're listening to podcasts, you don't have any savings. The first step is just start putting $50 a week away into a savings account, right? Doesn't have to be a high interest. Like that's the next stage for you, I guess. So like, I worked with a lot of young guys when I was in construction, and they would go out every weekend. They'd blow every single cent. Yeah, I'm sure you did as well, Lucky. Like they'd blow every single cent. I guess, when I was there, I knew there was something more, and I had done the research, and I'd invested in myself, even though that wasn't the done thing in that industry. It was all about, getting fucked up at the weekend and finishing work on a Saturday and heading out, right? Like, and that's what it was, you know, and I did plenty of that too, don't get me wrong, but I guess I always had like that strategy where I knew I was putting away a bit of money. I was like, but the rest of the guys weren't doing that. And that's where it started for me. I had young guys on site, and they would start with us, and I'd be like, this is after a while. Like I was maybe working at the company for 4 or 5 years. When I joined that company, we had 5 people, and we ran it up to 450 people at the height. So like it was a massive growth story at that construction business as well. But it was like something I really get enjoyment out of is like trying to help the young guys. I'm like, I remember one of the guys, Donald, I was like, Matt, you need to, like, what are you doing with your cash? And I was like, he's like, I'm in your business. I was like, Matt, are you putting any money away? And it's just kind of the attitude. And I get it. Like, you're a young guy, you don't really give a shit about that. But it's like he, I think I like to think I helped a few guys with at least getting started with just, getting a couple of grand at the end of the 6-month period or something like that. And from there, then you've got choices where you can go, all right, I can see something over here that's 10% and I can start to move money around. So it's really about stripping it back. Everyone's on a completely different phase of their journey, different ages, different, in different situations, I guess. So yeah, that's just another thing to highlight, I think.
That's, thanks for bringing that up, because I think that's very important to think about. If you don't have savings, what can you even sacrifice from your lifestyle to, even if it's important to put a bit more on that savings kitty to then put into somewhere which can grow and be something great for you, because often we don't want to sacrifice our quality of life. But I look at it as very similar as mental health. Like, there's a lot of people who are using mechanisms to escape their life, like drugs, alcohol, pornography, various things, and it gives them that moment of relief. It might be a couple of hours, couple of minutes, but then they wake up the next day and they're still unhappy, yet they're not prepared to go off the booze for 6 months, or they're not prepared to cut out the poor food, or they're not prepared to do this, that, and the other, because it's too much of an unbalance. And I'm like, well, you've been unhappy in your life anyway.
Yep.
What's 6 months going to do?
Try something different.
Like, try something different.
Yeah.
And it's the same with finances. Like, for me, the best thing I ever did, I'm so lucky for my wife, because when I was pursuing my business at the beginning, like she helped me. Like, she didn't put money in my business, but she paid for dinner and paid for these things, which, gave me, I believe, an advantage. But within that, when I started earning money, I'd read The Barefoot Investor, and I was like, look, I don't ever want to be in that position again, because it's not fun. So, and I know there's only so many hours in a day, and there's going to come a point in my life where I want to have a family. I want to be able to be more flexible with my time. And that's why I got so intrigued by investing. And real estate doesn't float my boat at all. Like, I own a house, but I fucking couldn't give two shits about it. It's not like I'm reading about it. I got mates who read it, and then I think to myself, maybe I should be reading about it. But once again, going back to what we were saying before, invest in what you're interested in. Like, that's how you're going to get the best returns. And same with the stock markets. There's not many companies that I'm like super stoked to go, yeah. So
yeah, I mean, it's the stock market. A lot of these markets are very macroeconomic driven anyway.
Yep.
So if it's easy and cheap to get cash, the stock market's going to keep pumping and pumping. And the first sign, I mean, even talking about the crypto markets recently, pulled back a little bit. Rumors of the Fed in the US raising rates, right? So that's one of the catalysts for the recent pullback, people say, right? So when your cash starts to get more expensive and harder to get, these types of assets are the ones that are going to, I guess, they're risk on assets. They're the ones that are going to suffer first. If you got a loan, you need to pay down, you're going to sell your Tesla stock, or you're going to sell your Bitcoin, to get the cash out so you're not, eating those high percentage loans essentially. So that's a big catalyst, and I guess one that people don't always think about.
Is there anything else you feel we haven't covered before we sort of go into obviously, like we've spoken about, there's coins that you guys host at SWYFTX, and there's also coins that you don't host. And this is not like we're going to obviously plug SWYFTX because I've used you guys since even before I've known you, because like I said, Liam, who's once again been on the potty and a good mate, he utilizes you guys and put us onto you. And just because you're in Brisbane, that just is awesome, having a local business rather than having to try and contact, people all around the place, because you will have challenges when you're getting stuck into it. But what would be sort of that, I guess, a roadmap for people looking to get into it? And why you guys?
Why SWYFTX? Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of good companies out there. I mean, I love competition. Like, I've always loved competition between sports and business. Like, it's you need it. You need it to get better and continually grow. So I guess when we came around 2018, there was we had 9 competitors in the market. We joined at number 10. Like, we came in, and now we're number 1, number 2 in Australia, right? Like by volume and active users and things like that. But for a reason, we just give a shit. And it's very easy to see the differences between exchanges that are ran purely as a business mechanism versus, like, we're all businesses and we're for-profit businesses, don't get me wrong, but you can see the difference between, say, our exchange and another exchange that's just there to bleed, like, for the financial aspect versus, like, we trying to solve problems within the crypto industry for people. Give them better on-ramps for fiat, give them tools like staking that they can use, make it really, really easy for a user experience. So, I mean, for someone getting started, absolutely do your research first on, you don't have to pick SWYFTX, but do your research on the exchanges that you like. And, I think it's a good place to start. One thing we do have is a demo mode on SWYFTX. So that's really good for new people that are getting in. They don't have to put any money in, any of their own cash in. You can sign up. You can play around in the demo mode. You can buy some Bitcoin. We give you a balance where you can actually trade. And that gives people a feel for how it works. But all the time, in the meantime, you're listening to podcasts, you're watching, reading books on crypto, or, you know, not everybody's going to do that. Let's be real about it, right? People are going to watch YouTube channels, and that's fine. But just when you're watching like YouTubers and things like that, just be aware that they might have a vested interest in something that they're talking about. They all say they don't give financial advice, yet they plug the absolute life out of X crypto coin. And not all YouTubers, there's some really good ones out there, and we might actually, maybe in the show notes, we can share some good ones for people to get started with as well.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it's really easy. Go onto the SWYFTX website, sign up, use your demo mode. It's very easy. Like, we've got, you know, connections to the bank. You can put in some cash if you want to get started. And it's really, it's about just getting started. I think really just going down the rabbit hole, as they say. And learning is always going to be your friend, like the number one thing that we say. We've got account management on SWYFTX as well, so you can get talking to somebody on the phone if you've got questions. We've got live chat support if you're not sure what button to press or things like that. So, you know, little things like that we've brought in to be really customer centric. So you're not on your own. Like, I remember when I started, like back in 2013, I literally like just closed my eyes, sent some cash across this VTunnel network, and it was like, will it get there? Like literally like that. Whereas nowadays it's really good. The user experience is really nice, and that I like to think that that's one of the barriers to entry, like at least in Australia and New Zealand, that we've kind of knocked down, and we've made our competitors get better at that as well. Which is good to kind of feel like you're kind of breaking ground and being innovative and getting like players that have been 5 years before you in the space, and they're looking at you like, what are SWYFTX going to do next? Or you know, like, and that's what we're trying to be. Like, we're trying to be that innovation piece, that kind of company that are really forward thinking and solving real world problems. If your business, if anyone's listening here and you think you can solve a real world problem and you love it, go and do it, because people will pay for apps that solve real world problems, or pieces of equipment that solve real world problems. And it happens all the time. I was listening to I was reading it's an audio book actually called what's it called again? I forgot the name of it now. It's to do with starting up businesses and growth. I'll get the name of it after, but
it's like a cliffhanger now.
I know.
I don't know what it is.
No,
it's all good.
Masters of Scale it's called.
Okay.
Masters of Scale, and it's awesome. But they talked about the story of the lady that started Spanx.
Yeah.
Like, she was literally like cutting holes in her own like tights or underwear, whatever it was, and just decided then she was gonna start doing it. And obviously everyone knows, like, it's a household name now, but it's just it's solving real world problems is something that we're really passionate about, and something that if anyone listening or anyone can solve a real world problem, that's you know, these are really good business ideas that you know, taking that step is the big thing. You know, you took the step to follow your dream or your career. I took the step to leave a, you know, decently high paying job in construction to go back and earn not very much at the start with SWYFTX, just leapt off the cliff. I'm like, chase your passion, you know.
You enjoy it. Like, that's...
it's not work for me. It's like, I'm doing it. I'm staying up late at night working on a project because I love it. Like, it doesn't feel like working. And listen, everybody's not going to have that. You know, I'm lucky and I'm so fortunate. Like, I literally wake up every day. I'm like, man, this is insane. Like, it is. And everyone can't get to that, but when an opportunity arises, and for a lot of people, an opportunity at some stage of their life will arise. Just go for it. You know, you don't have to put yourself in financial strain or put your relationship or your friend, whatever it is, under strain to do it. But you know, it's all about just taking that step and taking that leap, and everybody can do it. It's all about your mindset, you know, and that's your area, especially
it's a wheelhouse.
That's your wheelhouse, man. I'll give it back to you like the tennis racket.
No, but it's been very insightful. And guys, if you have any questions, obviously, you know what I would probably recommend. And like I said, I think I'm on like 6 or 7 different crypto platforms, and yours is hands down the easiest to use, like way above the rest in terms of how easy it is to use. There's some that I jump on there and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm in Wall Street just looking at the screens of stuff going all over the place, but also the customer service. I would also recommend jumping in the Telegram group because I find that helpful. Like, I'm not active, and you don't have to be active for like writing stuff, but I just read to see what people are asking, because maybe there's stuff that I haven't thought about. But, you know, also get around people who spend a lot of time investing in it as well. And once again, don't just, same with when Liam, for example, tells me what he's interested in at the moment or what he's been listening to, I still always go do my own due diligence and research, because the last thing you want is to get a tip from a mate and put some money in it and it loses and you go, fuck you, mate.
It's the word. And you don't want to be that guy either.
No.
You don't want to be the guy that's given the tip, or you don't want to be the guy that's taking the tip and just blindly just banging in money into something for no reason.
Oh, because I and just one last thing, I do want to ask you one question, which is completely off crypto, but I ask every bloke at the end of a podcast. But there's a lot of people who obviously put money in it just when COVID happened and saw crypto go absolutely bonkers. Like, it's pretty insane. And then obviously it's coming back.
Yep.
And a lot of people are panicking. And what that's highlighted for me is, once again, it's easy to be, confident in things when things are going well. But if you're not working on your mindset and understanding cycles, and obviously with cryptocurrency being so new, maybe the cycles aren't as easy to read as, for example, a stock market, where it's on average every 7 years, you'll double your investment. So, and that's not guaranteed, but that's the average over the last X amount of years. Yep. So people need to understand cycles, not just go, because even the media, it's like Bitcoin's bottoming out. It's like,
I love that.
It's not. If you actually still look at it, it's done quite well. But
trying to decimate it even last week in the news, and it was still up like 60% for the year or something like that. Which is, if it was a stock, you'd think it was the best thing ever.
Yeah,
right?
you're the king. Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
It's just read through a different lens, mate. It's just it's viewed in this negative connotation. It still is. It's part of the industry that we're in, and we understand that, but we have conviction, and we know, we believe in it, and we know where it is. Not tinfoil hat belief, but we're like, we're spending the right amount of time, and we're watching it. We're doing the right things to have conviction on it.
Well, I don't even have my Oculus here, but I believe so heavily in it purely because if we've seen what technology's done, like people bash people, not like physically, but gave grief to people who were on Facebook or Tinder and all these advancements in technology that are now prevalent in society. And cryptocurrency to me is exactly that. And like I was saying before, I feel like everyone's into crypto at the moment. But once again, my circle of influence is heavily into crypto. There's still so many people who just have no idea, which once again is completely fine. But for me, I'm sitting here in my seat thinking this is one of the most exciting times in human history to really take ownership for your finances and your lifestyle. And some people just won't even give it a look in, which blows my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And then I've also gone to the point where, I've created a man that can virtual land in the metaverse. And I've got my Oculus, and I'm having my first meeting, I think it's next Friday or the Friday after, which I can't wait to record and put it on my socials. But I've set up this whole thing because I think eventually it solves problems, because a lot of our stuff's through Zoom, and we've got guys all around the world that tune in, and it's cool. But imagine in the metaverse, it's like you almost feel like you're actually with people.
Yep.
And people laugh at that, but it's going to solve fucking problems for people who live on farms, people who live overseas that want to come hang out. Like, that's what it's going to do. And that's for me why I'm like, well, one, it still serves my purpose and allows me to do what I do. And I'm really excited about that. Some people are worried about it, and yes, it's going to come with its own challenges, as does everything. But what it can do and how it can change the world in a positive way is very, very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it has no ceiling at the moment, right? It has no ceiling. So man, I'm keen for us to be spending a lot more time together working this out and throughout the years. It's going to be awesome.
Amazing. So last question, sorry to put you on the spot, but what's it mean to be a man?
Oof. That is
See, we've just been all this crypto.
That's a good on the spot of that one. I think it's very, it depends on what stage of life you're at.
Yep.
For me, I think I touched on earlier about trying to support people and bring people up.
Yep.
Teach some of what you know to people. A lot of it's about giving back.
Yep.
I'm not trying to give the perfect answer here.
Yep.
I'm not a saint by any stretch of the imagination. But I guess I really enjoy passing some of my knowledge to younger people and things like that. That's something that I'm quite passionate about. Is that what it is to me? Be a man is to be honest. Honesty is a big thing. Nobody's honest anymore. Everyone just talks shit, and everyone like, there's so much lies. And I mean, we all do it. Like, I'm not, like I said, everyone does it, but for me, it's about just being honest and being, I'm a very straight down the barrel kind of guy, like very straight. And sometimes it plays against me.
I'm the same.
But it's me. And it's about, that's me being true to what I believe in and being true to the type of person I am. If I feel strongly about something, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to get my point across. Yeah, like I said, sometimes it doesn't always work like that, but for me, like being a man is you know, it's about supporting your family and all that other stuff. I think everyone will probably have that generic answer about it, like, and I totally believe in all that. Love my partner and my family and everyone involved, obviously, and our company. Like, I love working it. I love my life and that whole thing that we've created, right? And it takes hard work to get there. And you know, and maintenance, you know, you talk about maintenance in relationships and maintenance in everything that you do. But yeah, for me, I guess it's not enough people, not enough men and women are honest about like where they are and honest about what they're actually doing, and give yourself honest feedback. You know, I was a dickhead in that interaction with my partner, you know, and just wear it, you know. I think that's for me, like, that's really what I feel like. If you can, and it's constant work. You got to work on yourself. That's where I guess where I see like heaps of areas for myself to improve. But I feel like I've got to a stage where I at least acknowledge now that I don't know everything and I'm not bloody king of my own bullshit, and like actually getting to that. And as a young guy that plays sports and does all these things that we did, I'm sure like there's an element of that in society, right? And it's about distancing yourself from that, or just being aware and yeah, it always comes back to honesty and true and being truthful. And people are smart. If you're honest, people will bloody know you're honest. You know, if you're trying to sell people something, they fucking hate it. If you're trying to, you know, if you tell lies, you know, all this stuff is like it's just never worth it. And it's just acknowledging it and just breaking it back there, man. I mean, that's what I like to meet guys like you. You've got things sewn up and you've got your own challenges. We all do, right? And it's like, that's where I go, I want to try and take something from Lockie and I want to give Lockie back something as well. And it's like that trade of knowledge, experience, and like truthfulness and honesty and openness. I think that's the biggest thing for me. And it's just, there's just not enough of it around that, I think.
I can love that. And I always put everyone on the spot, so don't worry. But I think the reason why I never tell anyone, and I always say this, is because I love getting people's honest answers. Because once again, like you said, there is that generalized stereotypical version of what it means to be a man. And that's not fucking working. Suicides at all-time high, unfulfilled, all this sort of stuff. So it's cool to hear, you know, there's going to be people who don't relate to it, but there's going to be a shitload of people that resonate with what you said. And that's completely okay. Like, find who you gravitate to, as you said, spend more time around them. And the people that you don't gravitate to, don't spend time around them. Simple. It doesn't need to be complicated.
A big thing, just like a probably closing comment, is like, don't be afraid to like, this probably sounds a bit harsh, but recycling friends is a big thing. Like, I know you've
never heard of it as recycling, but I like that.
Well, it's like, it's kind of like, not everybody is there to serve your purpose in the right way that you need it to be. And it's not, it sounds maybe a bit selfish, but it's like, it's more like, you gotta, if you continuously want better for yourself, you gotta put yourself around the right people, and it just like, good people rub off on good people, and it helps and it benefits. And like, not saying I've recycled my friends, but like, I've got great friends from all different demographics and socioeconomic classes and everything. Like, it's just like, I don't discriminate, and that kind of, it's just not my thing. But it's I guess it's more like, put yourself around those positive people and people that can serve you well, and you can give back. Giving back is the best thing. Forget about money, forget about material possessions. And I'm sure you have a lot of people kind of make those kind of comments, but it's just like, it really doesn't matter if you're not happy and you're not actually, and the happiness comes from the sharing and coming from these types of interactions and being genuine about it and not worrying about what people are going to say about if you say something or do something, right? Like, having that comfortability. So
100%.
Yeah.
I love that answer. But I'll, for everyone listening, actually, I do have a code for SWYFTX, and it's not a sales code. It's like I think of it as like, when people introduce people to the Man That Can project, I try to send them a book or something just as like a thank you. It's the same thing. I think it's SWYFTX, the Man That Can, or TM. I'll put it in wherever you're watching this or listening to this. There's a link that you can find out about SWYFTX and get involved there. And it does give me like $20 or
Bitcoin.
Yeah, a bit of Bitcoin.
Start them off.
Start them off. Get going. Get yourself some Bitcoin. So that's a little reward. Once again, don't just do it for the fucking reward. Do it because you actually are keen on and interested in that. But Tommy, that's been awesome fun, and that time really flew. Look forward to doing some more in the future.
Yeah, mate. Absolutely.
Thanks
See
so
where
much for
crypto is
coming
the
on.
next time we talk.
100%.
Yeah, brother.